Hello, I'm Phil Svitek, 360 Creative Coach, and you might be familiar with this adage that don't let perfect be the enemy of good. And I want to kind of extract this and figure out ways that this might apply to your art, right? Now, before I fully get into things, though, I would like to take the opportunity to invite you to subscribe if you haven't already. That way you get all the various lessons and episodes that I put out right when I put them out. Thank you if you just did, and thank you if you already were. It truly does mean a lot to me, so I hope it does to you. So, let's talk about this, right? You know, we all strive for quality, right? As artists, you know, we want that, right? And we can point to things in this world. The easiest for me is movies. And all in all, no one sets out to make a bad movie, right? But it just sometimes happens, right? But even so, the thing of it is, you're never going to be able to ultimately predict that one way or the other. All you're going to really be able to do is to make it as good as possible, right? And oftentimes, all artists, especially, you know, from working with the ones that I work with and just kind of you know, every self-help book and just observation and so forth, people prevent themselves from even undertaking any sort of project because of the fear, like, oh, you know what, it's not ready, it's not perfect, it's this X, Y, and Z. And so they never even take that first step because in their mind, they're already on step 100 and it's not perfect there. And it's like, okay, well, first off, you don't need it to be perfect right away because that's what art is, you know, creating something, revising, looking at it, getting feedback, revising it more, and so forth, right? Like, you have that ability to do that. And that, in fact, that's what you should do. You know, you can write a poem and then, okay, cool, revise the poem and revise the poem, revise the poem. Yep. Okay, until it's, you know, as good as it can be, right? But yeah, I'm very fascinated with that idea that people just jump to the end conclusion already, like, in their mind, just based on the factors, don't even take that initial step, you know? So, some concrete examples of, okay, you know, let's say you're an indie filmmaker. Okay, well, I don't have all the quote unquote right film equipment. I don't have all the right people and so forth. And it's like, okay, but you're never going to get there without taking that first step. And oftentimes, you know, one of the things I talk about is quantity creates quality, right? You got to be making stuff, and that's how you get better. And if you're not, then you don't get better, right? And I think people believe that there's some sort of switch, like they're just waiting for the right circumstances, you know, all the green lights of life all the lights of life to be on green, so that way they could just zip on through. It's never going to happen. You know, some will be green, some will be red, and blah, blah, blah. And they're waiting for all the lights to be green in order to start, right? And it's like, you're never going to have the perfect circumstances. So just start. And yeah, I think we hide behind those excuses because of that fear. And in that way, to me, don't let perfect be the enemy of good. What you have is good enough. And start. And build on that. A big thing that I often really try to hammer in with people is this idea, like, whoever they aspire to be, right? Let's say Beyonce, let's say, you know, Ryan Seacrest, let's say, I don't know, Richard Linklater, doesn't matter, right? Pick your idol creatively. Well, the fact of the matter is, you're idolizing them because of where they're at in their career, and you would want that career. And that's great. And I want that for you. But study how they got there. You know, Beyonce wasn't always Beyonce. It took a while to get there. What were those steps? You know, how do you replicate that? And yes, ideally in a much faster, more efficient way, use their, path as a shortcut for yourself, if you can, But I think we too often try to bypass and just, skip all that, as opposed to like, listen, it can be faster, but you can't just bypass it. And so in that way, don't be afraid to walk that journey, And to walk it, you have to get past the idea of this perfection thing. Because ultimately, all art is going to be subjective. And, in the grand scheme of things, nothing is perfect. Even like The Matrix, which is one of my favorite movies, I understand even its imperfections, right? Like all of life, that's what just life is trade-offs, really, right? But how do you maximize in that same way, what you can make? And so the goal for you should just be, A, I'm going to make it, and B, I'm going to make it as good as I can make it and what I want to make, right? When you do that, good things can happen. I didn't say will, but can. But I know they don't happen by sitting on the sidelines. So take that for what it's worth. As always, thank you. If you have comments or questions, comment down below or hit me up on social media at Svitek. Likewise, if you appreciate what I do and think you might benefit from direct interaction with me, well, I have my coaching available to you. That is in the description box. Or maybe you would like to first dip your toes in to see the ways in which I can help you. Well, that's what my Patreon page is for. Patreon.com/PhilSvitek. There are various levels of support, and they give you various levels of rewards, right? And so that is available to you. Likewise, I've hinted at the things that I create from an artistic standpoint, the books, the movies, merchandise, and so forth. And supporting that stuff helps support this, because by it being essentially self-sustaining, I get to create more of it. By creating more of it, I learn and can share all those lessons here freely with you to make your journey at least a little bit easier. That is the hope each and every single time. So thank you as always. I appreciate you and hope to see you next time.